Alrighty, y'all, welcome back to the old Star Wars fan channel. My name is Daniel, and today we're going to be dissecting a lot of news. But first, we're going to start off with Star Wars The Acolyte. Now, recently, Disney had their ACAP celebration, which is basically where they kind of tease the press and the rest of us with what to expect in the coming year. You know, we've got the Bad Batch coming up. We've got Mandalorian. We've, of course, Willow's out right now. There's just a lot of stuff for Disney. And the Acolyte is something I'm interested in because we're telling a story from the perspective of the Sith. Now, I'm cautiously optimistic in a sense that Disney doesn't have a good batting average when it comes to kind of recent Star Wars series. You know, The Mandalorian was great. Boba Fett was basically Mandalorian season 2.5. Um, I really didn't care for Andor. I know a lot of people did, and hey, that's great. It just wasn't my particular cup of tea. I'm not gonna lie, I tried to watch one of the episodes and I fell asleep. I just That's just how it was. Tales of the Jedi was great. I love how they brought in Count Dooku, and you can see why he turned, and he becomes more of an understandable villain or a relatable villain. And so I'm kind of hoping that that's where we get this perspective with the Acolyte. Now, this is from Bespin Bulletin. If you do not subscribe to them, please do. They are a great source of Star Wars news. So here we go. This is actually from a couple of days ago. Star Wars The Acolyte star reveals the series will see the Sith infiltrate the Jedi Order. Now, this supposedly happens during the High Republic, which, for those of you who don't know, the High Republic was Disney's spin on kind of the pre-Darth Bane era. They claim it's a time period that George Lucas never really got into, which, if you know anything about Star Wars lore, he did. But I'm interested to see kind of how Disney takes this time period. But, okay, so that's going to be the main actress. I have no idea who that is. If somebody knows, please tell me. But I have no idea. She looks familiar, but again, I don't know. Okay, during an exclusive interview with Tech Radar, star of The Acolyte, Daphne Keane, best known on... Oh, she was the one from Logan. Okay. So she played X-23 on Logan. Wow, she grew up. I'm used to seeing her as a little kid. Okay, I know who she is. Alright. And the HBO series His Dark Materials briefly discussed the upcoming Star Wars series created by Leslie Headland, who did Russian Doll, never saw it, which is currently filming in the UK. Keane didn't say much regarding the series, but did let slip that the series will see the Sith infiltrate the Jedi Order. Now, Miss Daphne said this, quote, I can tease that it's a prequel. No, I mean, you know, it's set 100 years before the prequel movies. It's kind of an explanation of how the Sith infiltrate the Jedi. It's a Sith-led story. Okay, that's cool. Which has never been done before. Did you not see? have you not seen or read any of the books? But anyway, it's been fun to film. The cast is amazing. That's great. The director and the crew are just lovely. Now, I'll say this, okay? You can tell on a movie production or a series production When actors are really having fun, they bring that kind of extra oomph. They bring that extra that extra it factor. You can tell they're enjoying themselves, whether they're the hero, the villain, it doesn't matter. There's an ease about it, which brings a higher level of creativity. So I'm really hoping what she's saying is true so that they can bring that kind of next level. I mean, we've seen it in TV shows like Castle, Psych, Lord of the Rings, even The Hobbit, where you can tell people are having fun. Yes, it is grueling work. Yes, it's long hours. But you can always tell when the cast and crew are really enjoying themselves or when it's not the most comfortable working position, and you can tell whenever actors are kind of pulling back. The last season of Castle was really that way. If you go back and watch season 1 and 2 in Castle, you could tell that everyone was kind of having fun. The last season, you could tell it was just awkward. It was like, people knew they were breaking up but didn't want to break up yet. So I'm really hoping that what Miss Keene says here is true, that they're actually having fun and they're enjoying themselves. Okay? The article goes on to say, I'm sure Keene's comments will most certainly excite Star Wars fans, myself included, that they'll come up with some pretty exciting theories regarding the information shared. Now, I'll say this. Um, if it's 100 years before the prequels, you're looking at Darth Pelagius. You're looking at his master, whose name I cannot remember. Um, so they were around about that time. Not only that, but it's one of those things where Sith-led stories are always funner. They just are. I don't know what it is about Star Wars. We always want to know more about the villains than we do the heroes. Um, but a lot of my favorite books have been, Tales of the Sith, Dark Lord, which is more about, Vader, the Darth Maul books, Darth Bane trilogy, which is, they need to make that happen. For the love of God, please make that happen. Um, the Bounty Hunter Wars, which really has nothing to do with the rebellion. I mean, they talk about it, but it's mostly Boba Fett, Vader, the Emperor, and the Bounty Hunting Guild, and Prince Zizer. So these are all villains or anti-heroes, scum and villainy, and they're just delicious stories. So I'm really hoping, really really hoping that Acolyte does it justice. I mean, now that I know who Daphne Keene is, I loved her in Logan. She gave Hugh Jackman a run for his money. Apparently, she like dog cussed him in a few scenes, and he had no idea what she was saying, which is just kind of funny. But the article goes on to say that Keen's comments about the Sith infiltrating the Jedi will surely lead fans to think of Emperor Palpatine and his master Darth Pelagius as the former rose to power through the Senate and remained close to the Jedi. Now, there are some Sith that can actually hide their Force abilities. Palpatine was one of them. That's why the Jedi never knew who he was. In fact, he visited the Jedi Temple multiple times. He thought it was funny. He would go there and basically visit them and be like, haha, I'm a Sith and you don't know. Not only that, but Darth Pelagius, I don't remember if he had that same ability, but he had dealings with the Jedi before, and they couldn't tell who he was. So one of the things about the Sith that I really enjoy is that kind of having to deal through the shadows. So this could be a very cloak and dagger, almost like a 1940s, 1950s spy. could turn into be like kind of like a cat and mouse thriller. I mean, there's a lot of ways that they could take this and really go one way or another. Fans have been asking for Pelagius content for years. They have. I mean, we have ever since you know books about him came out. There is a book. I'm trying to remember the actual title of it. I could see the cover. It's got Darth Pelagius' face and Palpatine kneeling. I think it is just Darth Pelagius. Great book. It tells everything from the Sith perspective and how Palpatine rose to power. I mean, he's going to be a hard character to put on screen just because of the how big of a character he is physically. I mean, this dude stood extra enormously tall, and his face is not an easy one to manipulate. But I mean, he could be the big bad hidden baddie, pulling the strings if they do that right. Um, the Daphne Keene could play one of his apprentices, or maybe a Sith assassin. She could use Sith sorcery, which we really haven't seen on screen before. I mean, there's a lot of different ways they can do this. But I've got a question for y'all. How do y'all feel about Sith-led stories? Do y'all like knowing the villain's perspective? Is it entertaining? Is it not entertaining? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all next time with some more Star Wars news.